Top 5 Golden Age actors who did anything to be famous. The stars of Hollywood's golden era were ready to do anything to reach the pinnacle of fame. From sacrificing themselves, hiding personal secrets, facing scandals, harsh societal prejudices, to even trading their health and personal happiness. They were not only outstanding acting talents, but also courageous people, living true to their emotions in an era where bisexuality, the romantic attraction to both men and women, was seen as something strange, even dangerous, and condemned by society as a disease. First is Joan Crawford, real name Lucille Fay LeSueur, born on March 23, 1904 in San Antonio, Texas, into a poor and unstable family. Joan's childhood was full of hardships. Her father abandoned the family when she was young. Her mother remarried a man who worked in a vaudeville theater, where Joan first encountered the entertainment world. She had to do odd jobs from the age of 11, like laundry and cleaning at a boarding school, to earn a living and study. Those years forged Joan's extraordinary resilience, but also left psychological scars of loneliness and a craving for recognition. Arriving in Hollywood in 1925, after winning a dance contest in Kansas City, Joan signed a contract with MGM and changed her name to Joan Crawford, at the studio's suggestion to sound more American and memorable. She did everything to become famous, practiced relentlessly, changed her appearance from hair to smile, took small roles in silent films like Lady of the Night in 1925 or The Circle in 1925, and even used personal relationships for opportunities. That persistence propelled her to the top with over 80 films in a career spanning more than 45 years. Remember Our Dancing Daughters in 1928, the film that turned Joan into an icon of the flapper generation, the liberated young girls of the 1920s, with the Charleston dance and short skirts. The film tells the story of 3 young girls pursuing love and a luxurious life, and Joan played Diana Medford, a character full of energy and charm, making her famous overnight. Then came Grand Hotel in 1932, an all-star film with Greta Garbo, John Barrymore, and Lionel Barrymore, where Joan played Flemchen, a dreamy typist. And the scene where she dances with Barrymore is still classic. She won an Oscar for Mildred Pierce in 1945, playing a mother who sacrifices everything for her daughter. A dramatic film noir based on James M. Cain's novel, with tense scenes about a broken family life and crime. This film not only brought her an Oscar, but also revived Joan's career after she was fired by MGM in 1943 for being too old. Then came Possessed in 1947, where she played Louise Howell, a woman with mental disorders due to unrequited love, earning a second Oscar nomination. And don't forget Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. In 1962, a psychological horror film where Joan faced off with Bette Davis as 2 aging star sisters, full of terrifying scenes and real-life scandals about the rivalry between the 2 divas. Behind her aristocratic and elegant appearance, Joan was a bisexual person with an intense sexual desire for both men and women, a secret she had to hide to protect her career. She once declared in an interview, "I like sex in a way that's not suitable for women of my time." According to historical documents and biographies like Not the Girl Next Door by Charlotte Chandler or Joan Crawford, The Essential Biography by Lawrence J. Quirk, Joan had relationships with many men and women not just for advancement, but also for true love. She married 4 times, first to Douglas Fairbanks, Jr., in 1929, son of silent star Douglas Fairbanks, Sr. A marriage that helped Joan enter high society but ended due to jealousy. Second to Franchot Tone in 1935, a stage actor she met on the set of Our Dancing Daughters, but divorced because of Tone's alcoholism. Third to Philip Terry in 1942, a supporting actor, a short marriage during the war, and last to Alfred Steele in 1955, CEO of Pepsi-Cola, which allowed Joan to live luxuriously, but he died suddenly in 1959, leaving her with debts. Joan's greatest and longest romance was with Clark Gable, lasting 28 years from when they met on the set of Fools, Dance in 1931. Joan described him as the prey of a hungry bird of prey. According to biographer David Brett in Joan Crawford, Hollywood martyr. They had a passionate affair, co-starred in many films like Possessed in 1931 and Strange Cargo in 1940, but both were married, leading to emotional storms, tears, and secret meetings. Joan once tried to have a child with Gable but failed due to miscarriage, and after his death in 1960 from a heart attack, Joan grieved deeply, even attending the funeral and crying like a true widow. But Joan didn't stop at men. She had relationships with women, creating the most sensational secrets in her life. She had an affair with Marlene Dietrich, the seductive German diva remembered from The Blue Angel in 1930, where Dietrich sang Falling in Love Again with her endlessly long legs. The two met at Hollywood parties and had discreet romantic nights, according to accounts in Marlene Dietrich's biography by Maria Riva, Dietrich's daughter. Joan also pursued Marilyn Monroe obsessively, a star much younger than her. According to Monroe's therapist, Dr. Ralph Greenson, Joan was crazy about Monroe, sending gifts and love letters, but was rejected and turned to hatred, even refusing to work together on projects like The 7-Year Itch in 1955. The biggest scandal was before becoming famous. Joan participated in a lesbian porn film around 1923 when she was still a dancer, and that film nearly leaked, forcing MGM to spend 100,000 USD, a huge sum at the time, to buy back and destroy all copies. She also tried to seduce Rock Hudson, a famous gay star from Giant in 1956, by walking into his bathroom naked on set and whispering, "Close your eyes and imagine I'm Clark Gable." Hudson, who later died of AIDS in 1985, politely declined, but the story became a persistent rumor. These actions show Joan's desperation in seeking real connection, amid bifobia from society and pressure from the studio to maintain her elegant diva image. From my personal perspective, Joan Crawford is a symbol of dark sacrifice and tragedy in Hollywood. She did everything to become famous, hid her bisexuality, endured scandals, lived a double life, and even abused her children, according to her adopted daughter, Christina Crawford, in the memoir Mommy Dearest in 1978. A shocking book describing Joan as a harsh mother with beatings and excessive control, leading to the 1981 film of the same name with Faye Dunaway as Joan. I feel deep regret. Joan lived in an era where diverse love was seen as sick, leading to loneliness, alcoholism, and wrong decisions like adopting 4 children to create a perfect family image. But ultimately, they became sources of pain. However, her story inspires. It reminds us that behind the glamour are real people with real emotions. And today, society has progressed with the LGBT+ movement, but biphobia still exists in many places, requiring us to continue fighting for acceptance. Joan, you did everything to become famous and you succeeded brilliantly, but the price was so high, making me emotional when rewatching your films. Now, let's move to another story full of tragedy but also hope and courage. Sal Mineo, a young star who came out in the most conservative era. Sal Mineo, full name Salvatore Mineo Jr., born on January 10, 1939 in the Bronx, New York, into a poor Italian immigrant family. Sal's childhood was full of difficulties. His father was a carpenter making coffins, his mother a housewife, and Sal was the third of 4 siblings. He was expelled from school for mischief and joined street gangs, but his mother recognized his acting talent and enrolled him in dance and drama classes. Sal started his career at age 10 with small roles on Broadway in The Rose Tattoo in 1951 by Tennessee Williams, alongside Maureen Stapleton. Then came the role of the Prince in The King and I in 1951 with Yul Brynner, where Sal learned professional acting. He did everything to become famous, took subtle gay roles in the McCarthyism era, the time of hunting communists and homosexuals in Hollywood, and came out despite the risk of being ostracized. The most prominent film is Rebel Without a Cause in 1955, directed by Nicholas Ray, where Sal played Plato, a lonely young man infatuated with James Dean's character, Jim Stark. The film tells of three rebellious teenagers in Los Angeles, with iconic scenes like the car race and Plato with a gun in the observatory. The chemistry between Sal and Dean on screen stirred audiences, and many rumored about their off-screen relationship, though Dean died in a car accident in 1955 right after the film wrapped. Sal received an Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actor, and the film became an icon of the 1950s youth generation. Sal continued success with Giant in 1956 alongside Dean and Elizabeth Taylor, but in a small role, then Crime in the Streets in 1956, where he played a delinquent, and Exodus in 1960, directed by Otto Preminger, based on Leon Uris's novel about the birth of Israel, where Sal played Dov Landau, a Jewish fighter who survived the Holocaust, earning a second Oscar nomination and a Golden Globe. He also tried music, releasing the album Start Movin' in 1957, selling over 1 million copies with the hit of the same name, a fun rock and roll track. Sal appeared in TV shows like The Patty Duke Show in 1963 and staged P.U.S. Your Cat is Dead in 1975, a gay play he directed and starred in. Sal was one of the first stars to openly admit bisexuality in the 1950s, 1970s, a time when admitting this could destroy a career. In a 1972 interview with Bose Hadley for the book Hollywood Gays, Sal admitted, "I'm bisexual, and I'm not afraid to say it, even if society isn't ready." He dated many of Hollywood's most beautiful women like Natalie Wood from Rebel Without a Cause or Tuesday Weld. But his greatest love was Jill Howarth, the English actress from Exodus. They met on set in 1960, got engaged in 1963, lived happily for a few years in New York. But Jill caught Sal with another man in 1969, leading to the engagement's end, though they remained close friends, and Jill cared for Sal until the end. After that, Sal entered a 6-year relationship with Courtney Burr, a male actor and stage director, becoming an early LGBT icon. They lived together in West Hollywood, attended gay events, and Sal inspired artists like Andy Warhol, who painted his portrait in 1965. But what did Sal sacrifice to become famous? He came out early, affecting his career. No more major leading roles after the 1960s. He shifted to stage and independent films, gradually sidelined by Hollywood for being too gay, according to studio executives. He participated in LGBT plays like Fortune and Men's Eyes in 1969, directing and playing a gay prisoner who was abused, challenging societal prejudices and bifobia. Tragedy struck on February 12, 1976, when Sal was stabbed to death at age 37 by a robber named Lionel Ray Williams in his apartment parking lot in West Hollywood. A controversial death, with rumors involving gay panic defense and drugs, but the court ruled it as robbery. Sal's death shocked many, with thousands attending the funeral, including James Dean's fans. From my personal perspective, I admire Sal because he paved the way for later generations like Elton John, Ellen DeGeneres, or today's bisexual stars like Kristen Stewart. The emotion here is regret mixed with pride. He lived true to himself, but society wasn't ready, and bifobia isolated him. His legacy lives on, reminding us of the power of authenticity in dark times, and makes me think that if Sal were alive, he would be proud of today's progress. Next is Tyrone Power, the guy dubbed the most handsome man in cinema, a masculine icon that you probably remember from classic action films. Born on May 5, 1914 in Cincinnati, Ohio, Tyrone came from an acting family. His father was Tyrone Power Sr., a stage and silent film star who died in 1931 from a heart attack. His mother was Patia Power, an actress. Tyrone grew up in California, learned acting from a young age, started his career with small roles on Broadway in 1936 in Romeo and Juliet, and quickly signed with 20th Century Fox thanks to his handsome, romantic looks. He did everything to become famous, from action roles in Lloyd's of London in 1936, a historical film about the English insurance company, to Jesse James in 1939, where he played the legendary outlaw with Henry Fonda, a Western film full of gunfights and horseback riding. The most classic film is The Mark of Zorro in 1940, directed by Ruben Mamoulian, where Tyrone played Don Diego Vega, a masked knight fighting tyranny in Spanish California, with intense sword fights alongside Basil Rathbone, becoming a model for later superhero films. Then came Blood and Sand in 1941, a bullfighting film with Rita Hayworth, where Tyrone played Juan Gallardo, a poor torero who rises to stardom but falls apart due to love. He also starred in The Razor's Edge in 1946, based on Somerset Maugham's novel, playing Larry Darrell, a veteran seeking life's meaning after World War I alongside Gene Tierney, and witness for the prosecution in 1957, Billy Wilder's crime film based on Agatha Christie's story, where Tyrone played Leonard Vole, the accused murderer, with Marlene Dietrich as the surprise witness. Tyrone served in World War II as a Marine pilot from 1942 to 1946, flying over 1,000 hours, returning as a real hero. He leaned more toward men, though he married 3 times to hide it. First to Annabella in 1939, the French actress from Wings of the Morning in 1937, a marriage that helped Tyrone avoid rumors but ended in 1948. Second to Linda Christian in 1949, the Mexican actress. They had 2 daughters, Romina and Taryn, but divorced in 1955 due to Tyrone's affairs, especially with Edmund Purdom, an English actor from The Prodigal in 1955. Linda wrote in her autobiography, My Own Story, in 1978, that Tyrone liked scatological fetish, related to excretion in sex, a sensational secret that could have destroyed him completely at the time. Tyrone also had relations with Scotty Bowers, a famous Hollywood pimp according to the book Full Service in 2012, living together and sharing sexual adventures in the 1940s. There were rumors with Cesar Romero, later the Joker in the Batman TV series, Charles Lawton from Witness for the prosecution, and even Howard Hughes, the film producer. Tyrone got Ava Gardner pregnant in 1948 from an affair on the set of The Sun Also Rises, not yet filmed, but the studio forced an abortion to maintain image, similarly with Lana Turner from Another Time, Another Place in 1958. Tyrone sacrificed his health to become famous, filming non-stop, heavy smoking, and died of a heart attack in 1958 at age 44 on the set of Solomon and Sheba in Madrid, Spain, during a duel scene with George Sanders. He was replaced by Yul Brynner, and his Hollywood funeral had thousands in attendance. From my perspective, Tyrone was a victim of the Hollywood system, forced to hide his bisexuality to maintain a masculine image, leading to stress and illness. The story is full of mystery with male-male romances, but inspires about diversity. Today, stars like Harry Styles or Timothée Chalamet can be freer, thanks to people like Tyrone who paved the way silently. Now is Tallulah Bankhead, a liberated and humorous lady that you might remember for her distinctive husky voice and rebellious personality. Born on January 31, 1902 in Huntsville, Alabama. Tallulah came from a political family. Her father was William Bankhead, Speaker of the U.S. House from 1936 to 1940. Her uncle was Senator John H. Bankhead. She rejected a comfortable life to pursue the stage, starting at age 15 in New York with a small role in The Squab Farm in 1918. Tallulah became famous in London from 1923 with The Dancers, living in England for 8 years, becoming a star with The Gold Diggers in 1926, returning to Hollywood in 1931 with a Paramount contract. She starred in Tarnished Lady in 1931, a drama about a fallen noblewoman, but not a big success due to her husky voice from chronic bronchitis since childhood, a sequel of a severe respiratory illness in 1918 during the Spanish flu pandemic. The prominent film is Lifeboat in 1944 by Alfred Hitchcock, based on John Steinbeck's story, where Tallulah played Constance Porter, a rich journalist stranded on a lifeboat with other characters after their ship was sunk by a German U-boat in World War II. The film is full of tension with sharp dialogue, and Tallulah stood out with her sarcastic personality, though she complained about not wearing underwear on set for comfort. Then came A Royal Scandal in 1945, a historical comedy about Catherine the Great of Russia, where Tallulah played the seductive queen alongside Charles Coburn. Tallulah self-identified as bisexual, declaring in a 1932 interview for Motion Picture magazine, "I haven't had relations for 6 months. Something's wrong with me. I need a man." She had relations with women like Mercedes de Acosta, the poet and lover of Greta Garbo, Greta Garbo herself, the mysterious Swedish diva from Grand Hotel, and Patsy Kelly, the Broadway comedy actress. She once contracted a venereal disease in 1933 from relations with George Raft, the gangster film star like Scarface in 1932, leading to a near-fatal hysterectomy. But Tallulah joked, "Don't think this taught me a lesson, darling." She loved unlimited parties, addicted to cocaine and alcohol, and a 1933 scandal put her in the papers with rumors of orgies at her Algonquin hotel home. Tallulah sacrificed her health for fame, dying in 1968 at age 66 from lung cancer. From my personal perspective, I love Tallulah's humor and courage. She turned bisexuality into a lure, challenging bifobia by living true, inspiring about personal freedom in a conservative era. Finally, Gary Cooper, the handsome, gallant, and masculine icon, born on May 7, 1901, in Helena, Montana. Real name Frank James Cooper. He grew up on a ranch, studied art at Grinnell College, but dropped out to follow his father to Los Angeles in 1924, starting as a stuntman in silent westerns like The Thundering Herd in 1925. Gary signed with Paramount in 1926, becoming famous with Wings in 1927, the first war film to win an Oscar, where he had a supporting but impressive role. The classic film is The Virginian in 1929, his first talkie, where Gary played a cowboy with the famous line, "If you want to call me that, smile," a western based on Owen Wister's novel, establishing his silent, gallant image. Then came Morocco in 1930 with Marlene Dietrich, a romance in North Africa, and A Farewell to Arms in 1932 based on Hemingway, where Gary played Frederick Henry, an American soldier loving an English nurse in World War I. He won Oscars for Sergeant York in 1941, a biopic of war hero Alvin York, and High Noon in 1952, a classic western where Gary played Will Kane, a sheriff facing robbers alone with Grace Kelly. Gary was bisexual, limping from a 1918 car accident, but rumored to have the largest male member in Hollywood. He was sponsored and had relations with Rod LaRock, the silent actor from The Ten Commandments in 1923, lived with Anderson Lawler, an actor, dated Lupe Velez, the Mexican diva from The Wolf Song in 1929, who was jealous but accepted threesomes with Rod, had affairs with Grace Kelly from High Noon, and rumors with Ernest Hemingway, his fishing friend, who committed suicide 2 months after Gary's death in 1961 from cancer. Gary married Veronica Balfe in 1933, had daughter Maria, but had many affairs. He sacrificed his health, doing 10 films a year, nearly dying in 1927. From my perspective, Gary was a silent hero, living true despite exhaustion, inspiring resilience against bifobia. These stories show that to become famous, they sacrificed much, health, happiness, themselves, but they inspire courage and diversity. Bifobia still exists, but society is changing with same-sex marriage laws in 2015 and movements like Pride Month. Thank you for listening to this long story. Please like, subscribe, and comment your memories of old Hollywood. See you in the next video.